And it's a fascinating book because it's so honest. So in it, these two left-wing journalists talk about their vision for their future. The vision for their utopian future literally doesn't include any meat. And if it does, it's cell-grown. But more importantly than that, it's a remarkably honest book about climate change, about the need for government to get bigger and to do different things. About half of the book is about climate change, and it's fascinating. And I will go to the section that talks about this. It says climate change is the major problem confronting humankind, and that we must spend what is necessary to fix the climate, and quote unquote, they say what matters is not what gets spent. What matters is what gets built. There's no discussion about what the cost of climate change mitigation will be. They're talking about the fact that the Biden administration committed some $450 billion, and they say that's only an estimate, but if we have to spend more, we should. There's no discussion about the impact on consumers, the impact on industry or manufacturing, and you can see why this is Bowen's Bible. You can see why left progressives have loved this book, because it says, damn the cost, just fix the problem if it's even fixable. And there's one other thing that is striking, and as I said, it's remarkably honest. And it talks about the fact that on some projections for the US to be powered by renewable energy, by solar panels and by wind predominantly, some 6% of the US landmass is going to have to be covered in renewable energy facilities, some 6%. So if we apply that to Australia, that is a landmass equivalent to Tasmania, Victoria, and about a quarter of New South Wales. So when you think less than 1% of Australia is urbanised, but we're going to spend 6%, or potentially, if we apply these US metrics to Australia, 6% of Australia's landmass is going to be devoted to promoting renewable energy.
So 6 times more of...
At least 6 times more.
At least 6 times more of the Australian landmass would be taken up by wind turbines, solar panels, so forth. Then there are actually people living in space.
And what's striking about this is that, at least in the US, and full credit to Klein and Thompson, they're acknowledging this. Chris Bowen has never talked about how much of Australia's landmass is going to be used up, how much of our farmland is going to be used up for renewable energy. They also then talk about the 800,000 kilometres of transmission lines that are going to have to be built in the US. So if you think that of doing the calculations, that allows that's the equivalent of the contiguous US being crossed by transmission lines some 70 times. These are ridiculous numbers.
The logic reminds me of COVID. The COVID logic, which is that we have to get cases down to zero no matter what. You remember the whole thing of 2 weeks to shift?
Yeah, flatten the curve.
Flatten the curve. So it's this whole maniacal focus they have on one thing that justifies... I mean, that's why it's so authoritarian. And like we've discussed before, it's a vehicle. Net zero is a vehicle for centralised government control. And that's why they love this.
And they talk about the need for the fact that planning regulations have, in the US, as has happened increasingly in Australia, has prevented the building of renewable energy facilities. So what they're saying is that the planning regulations they love and support if it's regulating a new coal mine or a coal-fired power station, well, they should be waived for renewable energy. So this is the double standard that the left embrace, which is we love planning regulations unless they are stopping a 50-metre wind turbine going up.
Which, as you're saying this, it reminds me of a couple of things. One is that it reaffirms what we always knew, that the planning regulations were ideological.
Yeah.
And secondly, it reaffirms to me that the truth, because that's a very honest book, as you say,
yeah.
The truth always wins out. It's just a matter of time.